Seventh, build identity. People who don't know who they are spend more trying to signal who they might be. Decide who you are becoming: disciplined, intentional, resilient, strong. Ask yourself before every purchase, would the person I'm becoming buy this? If the answer is no, walk away. Identity shapes behavior more powerfully than rules ever will. Eighth, build purpose. People with purpose spend differently. When you have goals that matter, distractions lose their glow. Useless objects feel like thieves stealing from your future. Purpose redirects your money toward things that strengthen you: skills, tools, investments, health, not distractions. Ninth, face your discomfort instead of medicating it with purchases. A lot of spending is emotional avoidance. You don't want to feel lonely, so you buy entertainment. You don't want to feel insecure, so you buy status symbols. You don't want to feel restless, so you buy distractions. But every emotion you avoid grows. The Stoics said, run from your anxiety, and it will chase you. Face it, and it will flee. Sit with your discomfort long enough to understand it, and it will lose its power. 10th, create rules that protect you from your own impulses. 24-hour rules for small purchases, 72-hour rules for medium ones, 1-week rules for big ones. No exceptions. Desire hates waiting. If you force it to wait, it dies. 11th, remember that companies spend billions studying how to bypass your rational mind. They design their marketing to attack your instincts, not your intellect. If you don't train your mind, it will lose every time. 12th, take pride in restraint. The world celebrates buying. Stoics celebrate choosing. There is power in saying no. There is identity in saying not today. There is confidence in knowing that your desires do not own you. And here is the deepest truth. You stop spending money on useless things the moment you stop trying to fill emotional emptiness with physical objects. When you build inner strength, outer things lose their shine. When you build self-respect, you shop less out of insecurity. When you build purpose, you buy less out of boredom. When you build discipline, impulses lose their power. Wealth is not the amount of money you have. It is the amount of desire you no longer need. And the day you realize that useless things no longer tempt you, not because you suppress the desire, but because the desire itself has weakened, is the day you become free. Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. Epictetus. You want to stop wasting money on useless things, and you tell yourself it's about budgeting, discipline, or willpower. But it isn't. At the core, it's about desire. Uncontrolled, unexamined, and constantly stimulated desire. You don't overspend because you're irresponsible. You overspend because modern life has taught you to respond to every desire as if it were urgent, meaningful, or necessary. Money doesn't leave your hands because of the object. It leaves because of the emotion that arrives with it. And until you understand that, you will keep buying things that add nothing to your life except momentary relief. The truth is harsh but freeing. You don't buy useless things for the things themselves. You buy them to escape something inside you. You buy because you're bored, because you're stressed, because you're tired, because you're anxious, because you feel behind, because everyone else seems to have nicer things, because you want to reward yourself, because you feel empty, because you want to avoid thinking about something painful. Spending becomes a soft drug, a gentle numbing agent, a quick hit of dopamine that disappears the moment the package arrives. You don't buy items, you buy a moment without discomfort. The Stoics would call this slavery, not to money, but to desire. Because if a simple impulse can command you, if a small want can move your hand, if a company's advertisement can override your judgment, then you are not spending, you are being controlled. And nothing is more expensive than the feeling of being owned by your own impulses. But you don't notice it because modern life is engineered to keep you asleep. Every store, every notification, every ad, every sale, every influencer, every algorithm has one goal: to pull you into a state where you react rather than choose. You overspend when you stop being conscious. Consciousness, not willpower, is what ends useless spending. So how do you build that consciousness? First, you must understand the truth that Stoics repeated for centuries. Desire expands to fill whatever space you give it. If you feed it, it grows. If you question it, it shrinks. Most people never question their impulses. A want appears and they take it seriously. But a want is not a command. It is a suggestion, a chemical reaction in your brain, a short-lived impulse pretending to be a lifelong need. You must learn to pause between wanting and buying. That pause is your freedom. Even 3 seconds of awareness can change the outcome. Because impulsive spending lives in that tiny window where you act before you think. If you widen that window, even slightly, desire weakens. Second, learn to ask the right question. A Stoic question. Is this purchase solving a real problem or a feeling? If it solves a feeling, the feeling will return, and you will spend again. If it solves a problem, the purchase stands on its own. 90% of useless spending collapses under this question. Third, understand the trap of emotional spending. When you don't have internal stability, you try to create external comfort. When you don't know who you are, you buy things that signal identity. When you don't feel enough, you buy things that make you look enough. When you feel incomplete, you buy things that help you pretend you're whole. But you cannot buy your way into a stronger character. You cannot purchase confidence. You cannot shop your way into purpose. No item can fix an internal deficit. It can only distract you from noticing it. Fourth, practice voluntary restraint. Not to torture yourself, but to strengthen yourself. Skip small pleasures intentionally. Say no to yourself once a day. Don't buy the snack, the accessory, the random gadget, the meaningless decoration. Why? Because every time you resist a desire, you weaken the part of you that depends on buying to feel good. And every time you strengthen your self-control, you become less manipulatable by the world. A person who cannot resist desire is an easy target. A person who can resist desire is economically invincible. Fifth, measure cost not in money, but in life. If something costs $100 and you earn $10 an hour, the true cost is 10 hours of your existence. 10 hours of your future, traded for an item you'll forget in 2 weeks. When you begin to see money as pieces of your life, impulse purchases start to feel much heavier. And most of them no longer seem worth the wait. Sixth, declutter your environment. Your surroundings shape your desires. Clutter triggers more buying because the brain sees chaos and tries to fix it by adding more. A clean, simple environment reduces the frequency of desire itself. Minimalism isn't about owning nothing, it's about wanting less. And wanting less is the core of Stoic wealth.